Goodbye YouTube. So apparently Sony Vegas 12 is out, which I had no idea was out until like this morning, and it actually works on my laptop. So I am rendering and making this video off of my own laptop and not my sister's laptop or my brother's computer. So if there is something different with the quality or the audio, then yeah, that is why. But I got this pretty good Enya battle that I had against AnkleBreaker. His channel is going to be down in the description. Make sure to go check him out. He does upload narrated Wi-Fi battles, and my team was kind of made in like a minute or so because I really wanted to use sub Encore Samurott, Specs, Executor, and Bastiodon. Then I just threw in the other three in there. But looking at my opponent's side of the field, I know that Relicanth or Golurk is going to be banded, so I have to find out which one is banded so I can kind of deal with it. But as it leads off with the Golurk, that automatically tells me that Golurk is not banded, and it is more than likely his Stealth Walker, which means I can freely go for a U-turn and U-turn on now into Maramaldo, considering that I should be able to take any hit from Golurk and be able to get on my own rocks. And with him having no Rapid Spinner, I will be able to easily wear down his team, and then possibly I can spin away his rocks later on in the battle. So he's going to go for the Dynamic Punch. Thankfully, I do not hit myself in confusion, and I'm going to be able to get on my rocks. And this is where I realized that I have nothing that I can switch into on this goalie, because he can easily predict my switch out into Executor and predict my switch into Lickilicky and Bastiodon, which means I kind of have to leave in Maramaldo for fodder so I can get a free switch into my Executor or my Samurott, which really sucks because this now means that his rocks are going to be here to stay for the remainder of the battle. As I get up a Toxic, which in the end is not really helpful to me at all, because as you're going to see, he does have Heal Bell on his Grumpig, spoilers, but whatever. I'm going to bring in my Samurott, and I know that he's going to be forced to switch out, considering that I can easily knock him out with the Surf, Hydro Pump, or Waterfall. So I'm actually going to take this opportunity to go for the substitute, as he ends up bringing in the Vileplume. Now normally Vileplume tend to be physically defensive, so I know this Ice Beam should be an easy 3-hit KO, but this does a whole lot more than I thought it would. I mean, I'm timid, I'm not modest, and even though that is super effective, Vileplume has some pretty decent bulk, and even after the Giga Drain HP and the leftovers HP, I will be able to take him out with another Ice Beam, so I'm going to go straight for another Ice Beam, but he knows this, so he's going to get a free switch into the Grumpig, which really isn't a big deal, just because I know that he more than likely is going to try to paralyze me, or maybe status me in some other way, which I don't think Grumpig learns Will-O-Wisp. So yeah, either way, I knew substitute would be my better play, but as you saw there, he does end up going for the Heal Bell, which is really great for me because now I know that he is not going to be expecting the Encore, which is why I'm actually going to go for it, Encoring him into the Heal Bell, which means I can just stay in and keep Encoring him into Heal Bell until eventually he gets knocked out, and he knows this, so he's actually going to bring in his Milk Tank, and this Ice Beam does way too much damage for that Milk Tank to have Thick Fat, and because I see Life Orb this turn, I know that he is the offensive Milk Tank set, so what I'm going to do is just sub up again just because I wanted to see what he wanted to go for. Then after this extra bit of Life Orb recall, he's at a point where I know a Surf will 100% take him out, which means with Milk Tank gone, that's one less offensive threat I kind of have to deal with. Unfortunately though, there is a possibility Relicanth could be Rock Polish instead of Choice Banded, so I still have to watch out for that. But he's going to bring in the Rotom, and the fact that he wants to go for Thunderbolt or Volt Switch is a little too obvious, which is why I'm actually going to bring in my Bastiodon, because Bastiodon is just about a perfect counter to Rotom Fan. And he is going to Volt Switch on now into his Golurk, and I'm thinking that, alright, the Earthquake and the Dynamic Punch is way too obvious, so instead of switching into my Executor, what I'm going to do is actually stay in, predicting him to go for the Shadow Punch, predicting me to bring an Executor to take the EQ or the Dynamic Punch, but no, he actually goes straight for the Dynamic Punch, which really, after I think about it, isn't a bad play, just because he would have been able to confuse my Executor, and then he could have used that turn where I possibly did hit myself to his advantage. So in the end, Dynamic Punch was his better play, but either way, I can now get a free switch into my Executor, and knowing that he's not going to bring in Vileplume on the off chance that I do Psychic, I'm going to go for the Leaf Storm. And did you see how much damage that did to Grumpig? Grumpig has a pretty damn good special defense stat, and that's an easy 2-hit KO. I didn't even need Rocks Up. But he's going to bring the Vileplume to take the second Leaf Storm, with which it, I mean, with, wow, with me being at -2 and Vileplume quad resisting it, it does just about nothing. But I know because he is at very low HP that he more than likely is going to go for the Moonlight or the Synthesis, which is why I'm actually going to switch directly into my Primeape. And there was a possibility that maybe he could have gone for the Sleep Powder, and with me having Vital Spirit, I wouldn't have him put to sleep. But I'm just going to stay in and just try to get off as much damage as I can on this Vileplume with the Ice Punch. That way I can then bring in my Samurai, possibly scare him out and get up a substitute, or just go for a safe Ice Beam. As he stays in, due to the fact that he got a good amount of damage off of my Primeape and a good amount of HP back with the Giga Drain, I don't think another Ice Punch will take him out, but I know I should bring him down to a point where, as I said, I can just bring in Samurai, scare him out, or take him out. And he knows this, so he's actually just going to fodder off his Grumpig as he brings in the Relicanth. I'm just going to stay in and go for the Ice Punch, hoping that he's not Rock Polish, which thankfully he's not. As he goes for the Head Smash, this automatically tells me that he is the Choice Banded set because I don't see any Life Orb recoil, which normally a Rock Polish Relicanth do carry Life Orb. So this thing is going to be a bit of a problem, but I should be able to deal with it a little bit easier due to the fact that he's not Rock Polish, which means he cannot outspeed my Samurott. So I'm going to bring it in, go for the substitute, hoping that maybe he misses Head Smash, or maybe he wants to switch out, but he's actually just going to stay in. And they say third time is a charm, so I'm thinking that maybe he is actually going to miss the Head Smash this turn, which is why I'm going to go for another substitute. But fearing the Head Smash miss, he's actually going to switch directly into his Vileplume, which is perfectly fine by me. But at the amount of HP that Vileplume is at, I'm thinking that he can just barely live this Ice Beam and then break my substitute. Thankfully though, I guess I got a high damage roll and I'm able to knock out the Vileplume, which means with me being behind the substitute, he is forced to bring in his Rotom and go for the Volt Switch. And that means that's an extra entry hazard switching damage that I get off on Rotom. Due to the fact that he doesn't have a spinner, he cannot get rid of the Stealth Rocks. So he's going to go for the Volt Switch, and he's just going to Volt Switch on directly onto his Golett, which actually lives his Ice Beam, which I really wasn't expecting, but it isn't too big of a deal because the following turn I can just take him out with the Surf, which is perfectly fine by me. As this turn he's going to bring back in the Rotom. Obviously, I do not want to take a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch, so I'm actually going to switch directly into my Executor, but he's actually going to make the better play, which is the Air Slash. And looking back at it, I should have honestly just switched into my Lickilicky because with my Executor gone, this means that he can lock his Relicanth into Waterfall, which means if I don't take him out with the Surf for my Samurott, then he's going to be able to take me out with the Waterfall. So I'm hoping that maybe if he does want to go for the Head Smash, that he'll miss, or my Lickilicky will survive and I can Dragon Tail him out. Or if he does go for the Waterfall, I know I should be able to live. But I bring in my Lickilicky, Dragon Tail out the Rotom, and at the amount of HP Rotom is at, he is going to die off to the Stealth Rock switching. So he's going to bring in the Relicanth. I live the Waterfall, but I miss my Dragon Tail. And at this point in the battle, I honestly thought I had lost because I did run a calc, and at the amount of HP Relicanth is at, my Surf will not be able to take him out. But I completely forgot about the fact that my Samurott, after the Stealth Rock switching, is actually in Torrent range, which means this Surf is going to have enough power to knock out the Relicanth. And thanks to that prior damage that I got off on the Rotom with my Dragon Tail, he's going to end up dying off to the Stealth Rocks, and that's going to be the very, very narrow 1-0 victory in my favor. So yeah, this was a pretty intense, fun battle, and honestly, I feel like I could have played the battle a bit better, but in the end, it still turned out to be a pretty good battle, and hopefully y'all all did enjoy. Make sure to go check out my opponent. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe for some more content, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Later.